Hello and welcome to Talking Loud. I am the host, CynicTheCritic, and joining us today we have our usual Talking Loud members. We have the Anglophile Gamer.
Yep.
We have Yoshi Player.
Hi, I'm Yoshi Player. Hello.
We have MuppetSpot.
Hello, everyone.
And we have our special guest today, somebody who's been very eager to join us, EpsilonMk46. I hope I pronounced that right.
Hello, everybody! I'm happy to be here.
Yep.
Awesome. So today we're going to be talking about the episodes that came out in July and I guess technically August. Some of them did come out
Since the last two episodes came out in August, so that counts.
Right, and we have 6 episodes today, so we got a bunch of episodes to talk about. We're going to power through them and give you guys our thoughts on them. So we're going to be talking about Crimes of Fashion, Scales of Justice, Breaking Dead, Absent-Minded, Down and Out, and the episode that was the most hyped, according to a bunch of people, Be Still My Heart.
That's gonna be interesting.
Ooh, we've got a handful, so let's do this.
So many ships sunken, so little time.
This will be interesting, but stay tuned.
So let's get started with Crimes of Fashion. When Lenny gets fired from her job due to missing scarves, Lincoln and Clyde take on the case as Ace and Jack. So what did you guys think of this episode?
That's
Quite fine.
It was decent.
It was good.
I was surprisingly enjoyed by this episode. Enjoyed.
I liked
I'm
it a lot.
entertained.
Yeah, okay, first things first. When the plot was first announced in this episode, everyone was like, oh, you know what that sounds like? Suit the Consequences.
If you couldn't tell by my voice, I fucking hate that episode. For many reasons.
I don't like it either, but judging by Yoshi, he seems to hate it even more than me.
I know somebody who hates it
not
more
as
than
much as
Yoshi.
one of our friends, the cartoon OG. He despises that episode so badly. It's like, damn. But yes, the reason I hate the episode is because the mystery is not even much of a mystery because it's pretty much revealed at the start who did it. And of course, the sisters are so unlikable that I just want to punch them all in the face, but I'm like, wait, I can't do it, that's child abuse. But yeah.
Also because they're in a cartoon.
People are kind of mixed on it. It has a mixed reception, but anyway, back to Crimes of Fashion. Enough of that piece of shit.
This episode contradicts this because Lincoln has a better savvy costume. But I digress.
Right, because in Salute the Consequences, like, Lincoln's Ace Savvy costume was like this homemade DIY costume that he made himself, and now in this, it's like, it looks like he got it from a store. Like, it looks like he got it from, like, a costume shop. So it does kind of contradict the message that Salute the Consequences have, where it's like, you know, even if you're wearing something that looks stupid, you should embrace your weirdness or something like that.
Well, I kind of noticed that too. Like, although even if it may seem that way, like even if it may seem like he bought it from a store, maybe we assumed a little too much about Lincoln. Maybe he wasn't as thick-skinned as everyone thought he was. Maybe there was a little more depth to him. Like, even when he's not talking to us, the viewers, he is secretly this
or studio executives start to meddle with episodes.
Okay, yeah, that's probably it.
Oh, yeah, or maybe they saw that people didn't like how Lincoln was being treated through the consequences, and they're like, okay, you know what, we'll give him a brand new costume just so everyone will shut up about it. But back to Crimes of Fashion itself. I do like this episode, and for, like, there wasn't really too much that I'm going to say about this episode, because, I mean, there isn't really a lot. I will say the mystery this time around, it's better than Through the Consequences, because it doesn't feel like it completely gives away who did it. I mean, granted, when you do watch the episode, it does seem kind of obvious that it was the son of the store manager.
Yeah, that was just my biggest tick that prevented me from saying it was perfect. Like, the moment I saw that kid, I was like, He did it. He took the scarves. He did everything.
Well, Lava House isn't known for really good mystery elements.
But then again, like, would you really want it to be out of Left Wing and, like, completely out of the ordinary? Like, you'd have to have some kind of indication to have us follow along.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, it's not the most perfect mystery.
Well, neither are Scooby-Doo mysteries.
I mean, I will say that Lincoln and Clyde, they're decent together. I'm not really that much of a big Clink and McCloud fan, but I do like them together here more than in, say, Absent-Minded, which we'll talk about later, but I like them together here. I thought the jokes were hit or miss. There were some jokes that I thought were kind of funny, like that training bra thing that Clyde had, and then I thought some jokes just didn't really work all that well, like that whole thing of like them running towards something and then knocking a bunch of shit over. It kind of got a little bit old. Although I think Bossy liked it because a certain girl was involved.
Yes. Bossy likes Fiona.
I didn't really like the scenes in question, I just didn't mind Fiona as a character. That's about it.
Excuses. It's okay, Bossy. Yeah, it's okay to like Fiona. I mean, Muppet likes Becky.
Although I don't really know.
And I'm admittedly a bit into Dana. We all have our
We
vices.
all kind of like some things on the show.
So, whatever.
Although I don't really know.
It's actually really obvious that it probably could.
Although I thought you were crushing on her girl Jordan.
No, I said it.
Oh yes, that's true.
Saying that I could possibly ship them.
Alright, we're getting off topic.
Okay, we're getting off topic and it's becoming really, really weird.
Weirder than
Alright, let's stop before this gets weird. Alright, come on,
Alright.
move on.
Okay, so, I mean, if I had to point to one thing I wouldn't say I didn't like, but I just kind of thought it was a wasted opportunity, it would be the fact that Lenny isn't really used in this episode all that much.
He's just really a cameo role.
She did help
Yeah.
out at one point, but that's about it.
Like, I know Yoshi kind of took offense to that.
I didn't really take offense, I just wish she was used a little more, and I know this next comment sounds like I'm really stretching it, but I think a hug between Lincoln and Lenny would have been sweet, because, Lincoln does all of this to help his sister get her job back, and all she does is just say thank you, that's about it. Again, I know I'm stretching it, and I probably sound like a wimp for saying this, but I can't help it. I love seeing Lincoln and Lenny together so much.
The reason why I'm fine with the way Lenny is, like, the way Lenny was used, is because when you really think about it, what exactly could she have done? Like, she's kind of a dim-witted blonde, that's her character, so she wouldn't... okay, ditzy. Alright. Okay. So, it's not like she could have helped much in the investigation, other than be comic relief, but nobody would want to see her like that.
We don't need another Patrick.
Yeah.
You've mentioned that a lot.
See, I don't know, I see where you're coming from, but I think she could have been good as a comic relief, but it just depends on how she would be written. And I don't really think they would write her all that well as a comic relief. I kind of feel like they would just very much emphasize the fact that, hey, let's make her stupid, which we're going to talk about in the next episode, so don't worry.
Oh, I've got some choice words to say about that.
She's turning into Patrick.
But
You're right about the hug, though, Yoshi. That is completely indefensible.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I don't really have anything else much to say about this episode. Anything else you want to add?
Well, I actually have a little something to say. Well, you know how some people are probably going to get a little bit mad that the culprit ended up getting off scot-free for taking the scarves, and people are going to claim it's a bunch of nepotism and everything like that? Well, keep this in mind, people. The kid was 4, or 5, 6, or something like that. Lenny was 16. Really, it's nothing too serious.
Wait, are people actually bothered by that?
I saw 1 or 2 people.
It's not like he did it for a selfish intention.
Exactly,
So I
yeah.
don't see how that's offensive or something.
People just get overly dramatic about episodes.
Yeah,
but we shouldn't really assume things. I mean, people have their own preferences.
Yeah, and not to mention some people will also say that we tend to be overdramatic sometimes.
Yeah, that's true, but I'll try to turn it down. But anyway, as for my thoughts, yeah, this is decent. Not much else to say. Glory House, 7 out of 10, but yeah. If you follow my DB nut, you'd already know my ranks.
Okay, next episode.
Next episode, Scales of Justice. Lana springs into action when she learns her favorite fish are in jeopardy of losing their home to construction. What do you guys think of this episode?
Wonderful, excellent,
Yeah,
very
very
nice.
good.
Yes.
It was great. And thank God, because the last time we saw Lana, it was when people got freaking pissed off at her and ruthless people.
Can we not talk about that?
Oh, come on, I thought it was your favorite
Not
episode.
slander
I
the
said
name
a
of
fish
Lana.
earlier.
Alright, but yes.
Not allowed.
But
No.
yes, yes, long story short, after Ruthless people kind of got pissed off at Lana. So it's good that this episode came along and redeemed her for me. Even if it ruined another character, but I'll get to that in a little bit.
Okay.
I don't think we learn
so-
anymore.
Alright, Mossy, I was gonna ask you how you feel since Lana's your favorite character.
The
So he's
first.
not Lana's daughter. Lana's not her daughter. It's,
Wait, what? We have two. No, that's two of us that says something that'll never live down. Anyway, as for this, yeah, I thought this was great. First time I saw this, I was like, oh, this could be really like Frog Wild, and it actually kind of was. Just though, Frog Wild is way better. But this is
No
so great.
argument there.
I would,
Freaking
I
Frog.
would honestly say this episode for me is kind of on the same level as Frog Wild. I think both episodes are really good. I mean, here's the thing though, is that I wouldn't exactly put. Okay, this is just kind of like a personal thing with me. The reason why Lana isn't really, I wouldn't really put Lana in my top 5 is that I just can't get past her gross habits. I just can't.
Actually, I don't know why I like him.
like thinking back to pipe dreams, like that whole like second bathroom bucket thing, and then like the lucky bone thing. It was so gross.
Also, I know
I near.
this is kind of Houdini, but doesn't Lana eat bugs?
Okay. All right. You know what? We talked about that in the last podcast. Let's continue on to Scales of Justice.
I'm sorry, I'm still bothered by that.
Please
Here's
just
the thing.
go.
So here are the things that worked for me in this episode. I liked Lana here. I liked that they emphasized more of her whole like animal activism side of her, where she like loves animals and wants to protect them and whatnot. And I like that they showed off more of that. And I thought she was really likable and enjoyable in this episode. And I thought that the comedy, for the most part, was really good. Like there's some jokes here that actually work pretty well, including one that is actually a reference to Peanuts, with the whole thing of like whenever like the parents or somebody's saying something that's like really adult or very like deep, and, like whenever Lana hears it, she like drowns it out with like the horns or whatnot. It's like and immediately when I saw that, I was like, oh, that's a reference to Peanuts. Like I think most people will pick up on that. And it was also funny the second time when it turned out that Luna was the one that was playing, like, I guess the horn, trumpet, whatever it was. Trombone, thank you. Some brash instrument. But, yeah, although I think Muppet kind of has an issue with Luna in the episode.
I forgot about it, kind of.
Oh, you didn't like how, that first scene when Luna popped up, you didn't like how she was acting all cynical?
It just felt more in place for Lori. Lori's more cynical than
I found it more interesting in this episode, but then again, I didn't really find it that interesting to begin with, so I should probably shut up before I get killed.
I have a bigger problem.
Okay, we'll get to the Lenny thing.
I want
We'll
to
get to the
talk
Lenny
about
thing in a
that.
sec.
I was talking about the ending more.
Okay, we'll let you
Oh,
talk about
alright.
the ending.
Yeah, the ending.
I thought the end.
Yeah, alright,
No,
you go.
I was gonna.
You
I
go.
thought the ending was kind of a cop out with, oh, the fish are endangered, so the pond can't get destroyed because the fish are endangered. I thought that was, oh, okay, that's kind of a cop out.
Well, think of it this way. Would you rather it be just an esoteric happy, or not a happy ending at all, just a bittersweet ending? Like, the Loud House wouldn't be fitting of that. Like, who would want to watch a thing where reality ensues, where you can escape into the confines?
What's another episode where Lincoln? Oh, the intense debate where Lincoln kind of ends up getting the short end of the stick. Although, I guess you can say in some cases it was kind of his fault. So, but anyways, I mean, I do agree with you. The ending was kind of a cop out. It kind of felt like they had 1 minute left to come up with a way to end the episode quickly. So I wasn't too bothered by that.
I do understand why they did it. You know, their explanation, I understand that. I just wish, you know, it was a little better, but I'm fine with it.
Okay, now, I didn't finish, like, the other things I liked in the episode. The comedy here, again, I thought it was really good. Like,
Flip.
there's this one character, yeah, Flip was funny as always. There's also this one character, this news reporter, where they introduce a running gag, where, like, every time she, like, steps into the scene, she, like, introduces herself like she's on TV. I thought that was funny.
And you know what the hidden running gag with that is that every single time she answers, like I counted it, like the 11 to 12 times she said her name, nobody remembered it.
That me.
I forgot her name.
That's good comedy.
Okay, yeah, that is funny. And here's another thing I also found kind of funny is that, like, after Lana, like, and the animals, like, create this, like, lake monster sort of thing, and, like, they end up scaring the construction crew, like, then all these people start showing up, and they kind of, like, turn it into, like, this whole, like, phenomenon thing of, like, where's the lake monster? Like, it's kind of like how, like, some movies would, like, bring a phenomenon of people that are kind of, like, curious about the mythology behind it. I thought it was kind of like a funny inside joke, maybe something that me and a couple other people would probably get.
Yeah.
And speaking of that swamp monster, I thought the design of it was really impressive, especially for something she made up on a whim.
Yeah. I'm like, holy crap, that's really convincing. Like, if I saw that in real life, I would be like, holy crap, is that an actual swamp monster?
You say that, but you'll probably be just frozen in your mind the moment you see it.
Probably.
And I did like the message of the episode too.
Yeah,
you know what?
One of the... Good.
Oh, sorry.
Like Lana pretty much realized, like, you know, like, you can't always, like sometimes you have to, like, you have to, like, fix things even if it's in a way that is very, like, the hard way. Like, for her to, like, save the lake, she would have to, like, go do the petition.
And one of the best things I liked about the Lana's character is that one of the main things I see people criticize her over, and how can you criticize that adorable little grease monkey I have is beyond me, other than the fact that her gross habits, is the fact that she's just there. Like, people think she's just there to exist, just to be this tomboyish grease monkey. This episode debunked that. This gave her a true goal, and actually was one that I thought of before it was cool. Like, this activist, where we're fighting for the lives of animals to the tyranny of humanity.
But Lana's not a vegetarian.
Potato.
She's not a vegetarian, though. Just point that out there for everyone.
Well, she's fighting for the animals that are alive.
Yeah, I just get getting tired of people saying Lana's a vegetarian.
Oh my, wow, that. Yeah. So really, like, so I think that I would like the series to focus more on Lana being, like, an activist and focusing on, like, helping animals and whatnot. Like, I would like to see that more for a character. But all right, now that we're done with that, we've been dancing around this issue. We have to talk about probably our biggest issue with the episode. I'll let Yoshi.
I'll just sum this up in one word. The problem was Lenny. And I'm not the only one who felt this way. A lot of people were really bothered by this. So, if you haven't watched the episode, what happens is that every time Lenny sees something that scares her, like a swamp monster or thinking Lana is one, she'll panic and then she'll just randomly run into things. She'll run into walls, she'll run into trees. This happens like 3 times in the episode, and it wasn't funny from the start. And I hate it because, again, it's just turning Lenny into more and more of an idiot. And every time it happened, I got so angry that by the 3rd time it happened, I literally screamed at the television. And I'd never done this with her before, but when this happened, I was screaming at the TV. I can't remember exactly what I said, but I think it was something along the lines of, "How about you open your eyes where you're going, you fucking idiot!" God, it wasn't funny. It's just stupid. What? I hate how people be like, "Oh, Lenny's always been stupid." No, she hasn't. No, she hasn't. She's just been ditzy. But yes, I get that when she's acting this way it adds to the charm of her character, but it doesn't matter! You can't just abuse Lenny like this and have her do something that she obviously wouldn't do because I know she wouldn't do it like that. That's just bad flatterization. That's the worst thing I've ever seen from Lenny. Maybe next to the scene from Kick the Bucket List, where she thought that Lincoln was actually on a rock. She thought it was actually Lincoln, which is probably still her worst gag, but this just... It's still stupid, it's still frustrating.
But he was there.
Well, I won't be defending them.
But on Muppet's bright side, at least Becky was there.
No, Yoshi, you forgot to realize there's something that bothers me
What?
with it. They said Lenny had flailing Muppet arms, and I've worked with puppets.
I have
don't
never
have
seen Muppets flailing their
They
arms
look
like
more
that
like
before.
wiggle arms. They look like noodle arms to me.
They look more like Adventure Time arms, but Muppets don't flail their arms. All their motion comes from their body and their head. Muppets don't flail their arms because it looks off with the puppet. It's more Adventure Time with the noodle arms, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
pretty much. But yeah, in general,
So
fuck Lenny in this episode. Like, how do you go from an episode where I liked seeing her to an episode where I just hated seeing her? You writers need to be more consistent.
Well, okay. I hate to play the devil's advocate, but okay. For the first and fourth time that running gag happened, you have a point. That just seemed a bit completely out of nowhere and just like why would she be so afraid of a mud-covered girl? But the second and third time where she was, or maybe it was just the second time, or only 3 times, the second time was that she was actually that giant monster, like that huge, like menacing monster.
that
And
should
in
have been
that
the only
moment-
time it should have been used, when she was the monster.
Yeah, like, but I'm talking about the way she would run into things. Like, if you saw that, your mind would probably go blank. Like, and given how Lenny is sort of ditzy already, being further blank would probably dim out all sense of cognitive thinking ability, and that would make sense why she'd run into a bunch of trees and stuff.
But it doesn't make sense for the other times.
Thank God I'm not
Yeah,
the only one who feels this way, because everyone seems to be mad about it. Even Animation Fan 15, who constantly tries to defend Lenny's stupidity, even he hated it. And you know what? I don't blame everyone. It's stupid. But,
I've
yeah.
heard people say it's fine, but I don't really get it. But then again, I don't really get much appeal to Lenny's stupidity anyway, because
Yeah, no comment. It was
no redeeming factors anymore.
That's the biggest
And that's
problem
after
with
I
it.
thought saying that Phantom Pains is decent. Ugh,
But other than that, I thought the episode was great. I would definitely rewatch it. Maybe I'd keep the remote on standby to skip by Lenny's scenes. But other than that, I enjoyed it. I'd probably give it an 8 out of 10. Don't let my rant affect anyone just because I hate Lenny in this episode. The rest of the episode more than makes up for it, without a doubt.
Glory House.
Well, that's great to hear.
Yeah, Glory
because as
House,
for
8 out
me,
of 10.
My score is a 9 out of 10. As an Advent Lana lover, like Fozzie. Hello, Fozzie. Yes, my favorite sister's Lana. Thank you. I think this was a great service to her. As I mentioned before, it finally gave her that personality that debunked all the one of the major criticisms against her, and for that I am eternally grateful. It will never surmount to the majesty that is Frog Wild, my favorite of the entire series, but it's definitely a very close second.
We definitely talked a lot about that episode.
Yeah.
Let's move on to Breaking Dad. Dad has Mr. Grouse watch Lily while he goes to a concert. Things quickly start to go wrong. What did you think of this episode?
I thought it was good.
The best of them all.
Again,
This was
another good episode. 3 in a row. Holy crap. 3 good episodes in a row. Alright. But I just want to ask anyone, who remembers the SpongeBob episode Dumped?
I do.
I do.
And this
Because
one was leagues
This
better than that one.
Yeah, I'll talk about that in a bit. This episode is very similar to that. If you haven't seen that episode, basically, SpongeBob, he introduces Gary to Patrick, and Gary starts spending all this time around Patrick, and SpongeBob gets jealous. It turns out the only reason he did it was because Patrick had a cookie in his pocket.
Oh, yeah.
But I will say, even though this episode has a similar concept, it's better. I'm sorry to any SpongeBob lovers, but this episode was way better.
I agree wholeheartedly. Like, I don't know if I should get into this much detail, but in a long story short, what I think made Dumped fail was that there was no reason for SpongeBob to be feeling this sense of loneliness and abandonment. Like, none of it felt deserved. In Breaking Dad, I understand why Lynn Sr., why the episode had Lynn Sr. feel this way, and I think it was very well warranted.
Yeah, because Lily's his own daughter. Of course he'd be this upset.
Well, more than that, like, he also was dishonest with Rita in that he basically just went out and did everything, like, did that whole cowbell thing when she was supposed to look out for Lily, and so yes, and then his paranoid mind started imprinting on thinking that Mr. Grouse was starting to become her father. And so, yes, I definitely buy into the conflict with this episode.
Okay, and can we talk about Mr. Grouse? He's like the Garfield of the show. He's just so funny at how he loves Lynn Senior's lasagna. He's like Garfield.
Yup. I don't really remember Garfield that much, but I'm sure. The only thing I remember was that whole lasagna thing. I'm not even sure why though.
Yeah, where like Mr. Grass, like every time like he's offered to do something, it's like, oh, I'll do it, but only if I get like a lasagna. Which then they have like this funny exchange deal where it's like for 10 lasagnas, 1, 8, 3, 7, 5 deal. Like I thought
like, he could do it in 9, 8, 7, 6. Patrick, 6 it is then. Just like that kind of comedy is just is my bread and butter.
Yeah, it is amusing. I don't quite love this episode as much as you guys, but I still like it. I think it's decent. I don't really have to. I don't go ahead.
Plus, it was natural because it was Lynn Senior's sweater. It wasn't like, say, a cookie.
Yeah, it
Right.
was very. And the fact that it was so subtle about it, like none of it felt phoned in or just straightforward. Like that's just my pet peeve when it comes to all cartoons. Like when things aren't subtle, that is basically, if I had a trigger, that'd be it.
Right. So here's why I think that the whole thing of like why Lily wants to be with Mr. Grouse works better than it did in Dumped is because I feel like for Dumped, it just felt shoehorned in where it's like, oh, that's the reason why Gary is attached to Patrick. It's because he had a cookie in his pocket. For this, it's a sweater. And it's Lynn Senior's sweater, which reminds Lily of her dad, which, again, that was sweet.
And speaking of Lily, her cute moments in this episode were the best in the series history. Like, I'm not even kidding. Like, seeing her giggle at the sound of those sprinkles, like, I think I almost had a heart attack. No, I didn't, but you get the idea.
Yeah, so, I mean, again, I thought there was a lot of cute moments. There was some amusing moments to be kind of funny. When it comes to issues I have with the episode, I mean, I don't know. It's hard to pinpoint them.
It was Lily just being used too much.
Okay, yeah. Actually, my issue with this episode I've had with Lily is that I don't know. I mean, I get it. She's a baby. She's not really supposed to have much character, but that's really all that Lily is that she's a baby that doesn't really have a lot of character. But then again, she serves the purpose well enough for this episode. So.
Yeah.
That sounds like more like a problem with the series in general, not just this episode.
Those
Spoiler
Lilies.
alert, this is my best one. The best one of this bomb.
I really enjoyed
10
this
out of 10.
episode. Oh wow, 10?
Yeah,
My
I
score-
Yes.
My score would be a 7. Probably in the Glory House. Again, it's hard to
Like,
find
it
problems
wasn't-
with it, and yet I still give it a 7. But I don't know. It's just me.
Maybe it's just the fact that it's too perfect. Like, there's nothing stellar about it you see in it.
Like,
I mean,
I don't think it
maybe.
was bad. I just don't find it all that like interesting. That's the thing. Like I put it at a 16 out of 28 so far. Like, I mean, it's still good, but it's not amazing or that bad.
Then again, for Vossi's second favorite episode of season 3, it's a fridge too far.
Bad choice, mate.
Oh, perfect choice, boy.
Anyways.
You can stab me later.
Okay.
I will.
Now I know my biggest issue with the episode is that it kind of felt like they were trying to do a lot with this episode. I kind of felt like they wanted to have like, oh, we want to have an episode where it's like Lily and Mr. Gross is taking care of Lily. But let's also throw in this plot of Lynn Sr. getting concerned for Lily, who doesn't want to be around him all that much. Let's have that. And then let's kind of have, like, I don't know, it kind of felt like the story, I liked it, but it was a bit of a jumbled mess. I mean, that's probably my only complaint I can have with this episode. For the most part, I liked it.
Yeah, it was good. Another good one.
So, moving on to the next episode, we have Absent Minded. I'm not going to read the synopsis on the wiki because it's confusing as fuck, so I'm just going to, like, tell you what I saw from the episode and come up with a synopsis myself. So Clyde ends up getting a reward at school that's pretty much like a plaque that says, like, perfect attendance. And then he discovers that he didn't have perfect attendance, so he goes to school to return his award until the Principal Huggins, gives him the junior administrator job at school. And while he enjoys it at first, he feels guilty because he didn't earn his reward of having perfect attendance. So that's pretty much what happens. Don't read the synopsis on the wiki, it's really confusing.
It had us confused before we even watched it.
So, yeah, what did you guys think of this
But as
episode?
for the episode itself, we had 3 good episodes in a row. It's ended. Because this is not a good episode.
I disagree.
It's not bad, it's just... I'll be honest, it actually made me fall asleep. I'm not even joking. It's not bad, it's just really boring.
Oh, the beginning with the journal is creepy as hell.
Yeah, that journal, that was kind of creepy.
Okay, Epsilon seems to be the odd one out and seems to really enjoy this episode, so go ahead.
Thank you. I am one of the very few people you will meet who will argue to the ground that will defend Clyde for eternity. I think he is criminally underrated. It's just, I can't even. But Absent-Minded proved this to me. It gave, you know what this did for me? Absent-Minded allowed me to distinguish Lincoln from Clyde. Like, I see just a definitive difference between them now. And it's just, with the amount of subtlety it had with this one as well, it just, yes. Sorry, I said that like that.
No, it's cool.
Yeah.
That was almost perfect.
Okay, then. Anyways, well, with the way this episode was set up, with the way it gave Clyde this great amount of healthy, no, maybe it isn't healthy, just attention to detail. Like, he is willing to just sacrifice everything just because of one little slip up. He is the man of honor. He will never just make anything like that would hurt his dignity. And well, although that just seemed like it was all for nothing because he ended up destroying his dignity even more in the episode, but I digress. It just felt so refreshing to see this new side of him, just the honesty, just the integrity. And it just felt so right. Like, it just felt right at home just watching Clyde and its internal struggle of his. And it also led to one of the most just relatable moments of his, where he ends up being all paranoid that what if somebody heard that? Like, what if he ends up telling on me? Like, I cannot tell you how many times I've been through that exact same scenario. It's just, yeah.
Well, I'm glad you enjoyed that. I do see where you're coming from with Clyde. Here's one of the things I will give this episode. They at least attempt to add some more character to Clyde. But here's the thing, is that I kind of feel like with this episode, they kind of write him off as a Mary Sue. Like, they write him off as somebody who is, like, he's perfect, he always does the right thing, and he'll pretty much, like, stay on the right track. And, like, if he feels guilty about something, like, he'll own up to it. And he's just a straight-laced, perfect kid. And that's kind of my issue with him, is that he's just kind of written as that. He's written as somebody who's, like, really perfect. And I guess one of his few flaws he has is that he's forgetful sometimes, because it turns out, like, oh, he still has to go to school that day because of the flood that happened. Which, I will admit, unlike Scales of Justice, where that ending kind of felt like a cop-out, at least for this, it made sense, because they mentioned it in the episode.
It was foreshadowing. basically.
As I
Right.
mentioned before, that's a pretty good use of subtlety right there.
Yes, I do agree with you on that, but I don't know. I kind of feel like Clyde was written better in episodes like Steps or Snow Way Down, where he actually
Argue
had
for Real.
Right, one of the few episodes that I actually like, while others don't. But moving on from that, because like for episodes like Baby Steps, there's actually some character given to him where he fears responsibility because like when he starts to think that he might be having like a baby sibling soon, or it was a baby brother. Now he's kind of like worried that he might not be the responsible older brother like his friend Lincoln is, and he kind of like doubts himself about that. And I'm like, okay, this is an interesting aspect to add to his character. I kind of feel like for this, it's like they just kind of want to write him off as like the perfect kid, in a way. But I mean, other than that, I honestly I don't have much to say. This episode for me was just forgettable.
I have one thing to say.
What?
I know you're a big defender of Clyde, Mark, but there's one thing I will have to say about it. They really need to cut out the Lori
The what?
crush. The Lori
You're talking.
Yeah,
I guess I'm the
that was
I mean,
I
just...
thought that was really downplayed, like this
Yeah, but-
lately.
Well, okay, yeah,
its
but
implications, though, were just...
like the
Really?
like Clyde marrying Lori, that's kind of.
Oh yeah, we get that
that was
imagination
weird.
where
That's
Well,
Clyde
so
is the principal.
Here's why
and we
I
get
don't mind that at
Go
all.
ahead.
Do you really believe it's going to happen? It's just a fantasy of this 11-year.
Yeah, but
And
then
it's like
Lincoln Jr. It feels weird.
Well, I
I
think.
know it's not gonna
wait,
happen,
I
but...
thought Lincoln Jr. was Lincoln's son.
Real?
I don't know.
Maybe?
I thought he was
have
talking
no
about
idea.
Lincoln and his 500 spouses because he's such a pimp.
Oh.
No, Lincoln's not a pimp.
Yeah, I know.
Anyway, I don't know. The reason why it bothers me is because it very much still implies that Clyde still has his crush on Lori. He's not gonna get over it because, like, after change of heart, like, Lori wants to be friends with Clyde, and Clyde is still crushing on Lori. So they're pretty much gonna keep this going until probably the end of the series. I'm just gonna have to accept that. But
Thankfully,
I mean, I will
have
admit,
been
I'm glad-
downplayed this season, though. A lot, thankfully.
I'm glad that they've done that. But still, I mean, I don't know. This still bothers me. So I'll let you guys continue.
I will be honest,
That's
though,
really
one of my
valid.
positives is that it is good to see Principal Huggins come back.
But yeah,
I thought he was alright in the
One of the
episode. I
He
mean,
was alright,
Frog
but it's
was
good
so
to see him
great.
back again, though.
I preferred him in Frogwild and Pulver.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
But
mostly remember
he was
him
alright.
for Frog Wild because that was a great episode.
It's pretty good. That entire scene was pretty funny.
Yeah, not really much to say about this one.
Yeah.
let's just
mean,
move on
it's-
to.
I have a nitpick. I have one nitpick, though.
What?
One tiny. Who earns a perfect attendance, or who earns an award at school at all in the middle of November? If there's something like
I
a
don't
perfect
know.
attendance award, I don't know. I just had to nitpick that. That's
My
weird.
school had
Mr.
more awards in
Nitpicker.
November, I think.
Okay, fine, that's fine.
So
Okay.
there's one thing I kind of found weird.
What?
We watched. Clyde said he dressed up as class for Halloween in his journal entries. So, what time frame does this take place in? Is it supposed to be like The Simpsons, where it has a floating timeline?
Because, like, the thing is, the journal had November dates.
I don't know. I'm just gonna assume that he dressed up as Santa for Halloween during like another Halloween time. That's all I'm assuming.
I mean, it's Loud House continuity doesn't really exist much. So
Even though
why should I
even though they
bother?
are trying to. Oh yeah, speaking of continuity, there is some continuity between this episode and Teachers Union because they have Coach Bukowski on his houseboat where he's still dating the nurse, which I thought that was kind of nice.
Yeah, it was good to see that again. I mean, I'm one
Yeah,
of
I mean,
the
first-
people here who likes Teachers Union, so yeah.
I like it too.
Hey
Yeah,
Yoshi, you got a defender.
Yeah.
And
Actually, I got two
Okay,
defenders,
okay.
thankfully. Actually, I've got two.
Oh yeah, Vossi as well.
Yep, Bossy.
But so I mean, again, there's not much else to say about Absent-Minded except that I mean, like Mark said, is that if you really like Clyde, you're probably going to enjoy this episode because like it seems like he dug this.
Thankfully, it's more focused on Clyde than both of them, so that's a pass.
That's true. So
Okay,
let's
let's move on to Gown and Out.
down and out.
Let's let Bossy talk about this one.
When Lola advances to a regional pageant, she worries she could lose for the first time. So Vossi, what'd you think?
This episode was freaking awesome. It was basically really just Lola makes this episode completely. It was the one I was definitely most hyped for, and to be honest, it was the only episode that I was concerned that would be good this week as well. Like, if this episode was good, to heck with the rest.
Alright, now that we got that out of the way, what do you guys think?
thought it was
I
good.
loved it.
I
I
think-
thought it was amazing.
So I have two problems with this.
What?
Lori's
Mhm.
complete 180 midway through the episode, and I know I'm stealing this from you, but Lincoln's really flamboyant side.
Okay, I'll talk about that later in the podcast.
And
Because I
I'll
think
defend it.
because I think that's going to be the biggest disagreement we're going to have. But we'll talk about it in a little bit. But as far as Down and Out goes, I really like this episode. I think this is one of the strongest episodes of season 3. I don't quite think it's Lola's best episode. That still goes to A Tattler's Tale. And I know I'm going to sound like I'm nitpicking here, but honestly, I think this same sort of plot was done better with Road to Nowhere, which is still my favorite episode of season 3. I love it so much. But still, this is really enjoyable. I like what they're doing with Lola right now, where they still kind of write her off as like this bratty kind of pageant queen contestant, but they're showing off more of her vulnerable side, which I like. Like, they're showing off, like, even though, like, she loves doing this, she also worries that, like, her biggest fear that she has is losing at something that she loves doing, which is, again, competing in pageants and winning. And for me, this is something that I kind of wish they did more with Lynn's character, where they focused more on her fear of losing. Whereas I feel like for Lola, they wrote it a lot better. Where it's like she would rather not compete at all than just compete and lose. And I like that for the message of the episode. It should be that you should still participate in something that you want to do, even if you'll lose. What matters is just experiencing it and having fun with it. And I think that's a really great message and takeaway. Now, so yeah, I thought Lola was great, but the person that surprised me the most here was Lori.
Yeah.
Like, I actually liked her quite a bit here.
I wasn't even bothered by that whole 180 thing because, you know, it makes sense that she would ditch the spa thing and actually start caring about Lola.
Granted, it did feel like a bit of a whiplash, but it didn't bother me.
It was really sweet. I loved it. Lori was really well done here.
For me, I think this is Lori's best episode since Party Down, which was a year ago.
Jesus.
And like now, after a year, it's like, oh, now she's actually written in an episode I really like her in. But yeah, I really liked her here in this episode. I like that she was being supportive of Lola, even after Lola admitted to like being fake, sick, and whatnot. Like, instead of Lori being mad, she's actually kind of like wondering, you know, why would you do that? And she tells a story about, like, you know, similar experience about that.
Perfect. It connects with Picture Perfect because didn't Lori say she lost pageant queen?
Oh, right, it does. But
Yeah, the homecoming queen thing. Oh yeah, that was.
for Lori, she pretty much like details a story about like how she was nervous about going to homecoming because she was worried that she would lose, but she still went anyways because she wanted to, you know, enjoy the experience. And even if she lost, she still had a great time. And I like that she's somebody. I like that Lori got over her insecurity and pretty much just moved forward. This is something that I've wanted to see from Lori in a while. I'm glad that they're finally doing it with her character. So I like that how she was written in this episode.
You know what? As all of you guys said, like everything except the parts about Lola, I agree with completely. I definitely like how Lori was used, all that stuff, but here's where things I'm probably gonna get hated on. Canada's the most overrated episode of season 3, if not the worst Lola episode.
This is
Okay.
good.
I'm sorry.
Okay,
Alright.
yeah, I'm sorry to say, Lola, she was my biggest problem. And not for the fact that she was written with insecurities or anything like that, that was fine, but just the fact that she started out that way from the very beginning, like, instead of gradually building up to an insecurity, like, it just felt so strange. Like, why was she just suddenly stapled? Why they felt so stapled in, like it was so like an entirely different character, even from the beginning. Like, you know how those copy and paste, just those blank templates of drawings you can draw your own characters into? This whole episode felt like a blank meme for any insecure character where you could place a single one into and it would automatically work. None of it felt like it was an episode. If anything, it felt like anything but Lola. Like, one of the main things I like Lola is her sass, her ego. Just the fact that she's able to hold her head up high and just
What about-
take on the world with everything.
I know I'm gonna probably cause a war. Did you have this issue with something like, say, what's that episode's name? Oh, read aloud.
Are you talking about the whole thing of like people got angry about like, oh, now Wolf suddenly has dyslexia?
Yeah, that whole thing.
Oh yeah, a lot of people got pissed off at that.
No, that actually was fine because she was still arrogant at the beginning. She was still acting like her normal self, and only acted that way at the end because it was just building up to a point where she just snapped. But with Gown and Out, they just took away everything I liked about her. And if I'm gonna be honest, taking away her arrogance is a sin. That's what I think. Just the fact that the writers made her so fragile, it felt off. Even on the whole way through, it was just gnawing at my head. I couldn't shake it at all. Like, just every time she just acted like she was wanted to be friendly with all the other contestants and being intimidated by by all the accomplishments they had. It's just like, no, this is wrong. Just the real Lola would have taken all that stuff and eat it for breakfast. Like toothpaste commercials, dresses from Paris, like an extra letter in her name. I eat that stuff like it's China. No, like it's just a bunch of rice. The fact that she and that little breakdown at the end just felt just so strangely forced. Like there wasn't even a single tear. She just felt like just yell out or just like a little breakdown.
But to be honest, do you want to see a cartoon character cry? It's always uncomfortable.
To be completely honest, that actually did make me a little bit
It all unders in the circumstance. Like, I think okay, actually, but actually, here's why I don't buy that. She sounded like she was crying, but she didn't look. It was a complete discord of sound and visuals.
Well, I think they record the episodes. They don't really record with sound, so it really is hard for the episodes. They don't animate with sound.
Oh,
Because animations they don't record the voices until that's the last process in animation.
Anywho, yeah. If any of you actually heard of a fan fiction called Inadequate, which everyone and their mother seems to like, the main problem I had was that it had a great premise, but the choice of characterization and the fact that it was so ham-fisted in its delivery just murdered it for me. It just made it feel like such a chore to read. It wasn't even funny. That's the same thing I had with Down and Out. There was a complete lack of subtlety in it all. It just felt so annoying. It's probably just me. It's probably just I can't go with the flow with all that kind of stuff. But as I mentioned before, what made Breaking Bad and Absent Minded so nice was their subtlety. I couldn't get that at Down and Out, and that's why I just did not enjoy it as much as other people did.
Wow, that was a mouthful.
But I feel better. I just feel better.
Alright.
So,
let's talk about the last episode.
No. We still gotta
still
talk
have to
about
do our
Lincoln's
ratings.
thing that Drew wanted to talk about.
thank you. This is another thing I think I'm linking in the episode. I thought his whole shtick of like helping Lola and being dedicated to like helping her with pageants, it was funny at first, but after a while I'm just like, why are you still helping her? I mean, I get that it's like a continuation from Toads and Tiaras, how like Lincoln was helping Lola win and then Lana went to take her place. But in that episode, he did it because he wanted to win a trip to Dairyland. There was like, you wanted something out of it. For this, I kind of feel like he's doing it because I don't really know. I guess because he loves her, but I don't know.
I don't really see anything wrong with that, honestly.
I mean, I feel like for this, he kind of like acted like the very flamboyant, like he acted like the stereotypical GBF in like a romantic comedy for a female lead. Like he acted like that kind of character. He'd be like, "Oh, you go, girl." like strut your stuff, like all that kind of stuff. Like he acts very flamboyant. But
Okay, this is getting awkward. Let's just move on.
Yeah,
man,
this was a great episode. I'd probably give it a 9 out of 10. And Glory House.
all right. So
Well,
yeah,
I'm sorry to say,
Alright,
but
so
I'm gonna have to
this
give it
one-
a 6.
One was a bridge too far.
Shut
Come on,
up,
let's just
Bossy.
move to the next. Let's just move on to
What?
the next episode because I have something to say to Yoshi.
Okay.
Alright, moving on.
okay. Be Stella my heart. When the new girl starts hanging out around Lincoln and his friends, they begin to suspect she likes one of them. So this is the episode that follows up after White Hair. The new girl.
Because at the end of that episode, Lincoln was talking to a new girl on the bus, and you never got to see her face or know what her name was. Well, in this episode, we got to see what she looks like, and her name is Stella. And I'll talk about Stella in a little bit.
Yeah, this episode, I didn't like it. I'll be honest, I think this is probably the worst episode of the bomb.
No. Just
Yeah,
I will be honest,
sorry.
it's the least bad
alright.
episode in my opinion. I mean, I probably put it above many other bad episodes, including A Fridge Too Far, but yeah, I didn't like it.
I did. It actually reminded me of a fan fiction I wrote. Oh, I forgot to mention I'm also a fanfic writer, please. No, never mind. It's like called Lovely Friends, where I basically made it so I had Paige have a boyfriend and Lincoln finds out when they're hanging out together, but by then they'd actually had an intimate conversation where they learned a lot about each other, where he didn't even care. Like, he was just happy to have a friend in her. Like, and that was just one of the things I really liked most about this episode. It wasn't afraid to let you know that you can have platonic girls as friends. Like, you don't have to be romantically involved with every single girl you meet.
Okay,
Tell the fans
that yes, that's something. Okay, that's one of the two things I do like about this episode. The first thing is Stella, which I'll get to later, and the second is what you just said, the moral. Well, okay, there's technically two morals to this episode. The first is obviously like you shouldn't let like a girl or a guy, depending on the gender, like break your friendship apart. It's pretty obvious right from when you see the story. And the second moral is like you shouldn't just assume that a girl hanging out with you means that she's romantically interested in you. Maybe she doesn't want to be friends with you. I mean, we live in a time, we pretty much live in an era where guys and girls can hang out with each other and be just friends. I like the moral. I just think both that moral and Stella would have worked better in a better episode if it had a better story behind it.
Can I say my things now?
Go ahead.
I was right. Stella didn't get with Lincoln. I was right, and I don't have to see the team.
Don't worry, Muppet. We still have the fan base. They'll do the work for us. Wink,
Yeah.
wink. Nudge, nudge, wink, wink, nudge, nudgy.
I was thinking about it. I don't think they're gonna have Lincoln get together. And also, I want to say this because this has been bothering me for a long time. Can everyone just say Rocky is dead like Maggie?
Oh, wow.
It's been bothering me for that long.
Ugh.
It's been bothering me.
Rip
because-
Rocky, then, I guess.
Yeah. I don't know why it just bothers me. It just bothers me so much that everyone assumes that I think Rocky became forgotten about. Like, he became forgotten about, like Maggie. Or the
And
guy
he was
from...
replaced by a man named Silas. Silas was an enemy of the Lucky Shippers, and so they had to eliminate him. But they were too late, for Silas had already eliminated Rocky. So just brings a tear to the eye.
Okay.
Alright, back to the... Go ahead.
But also another thing. Is Stella gonna replace Girl Jordan in this now Lincoln's Friends group? Because it seems like in
I don't
other
think-
episodes...
I don't think Girl Jordan was ever a part of Lincoln's group of friends.
What about...
Then why else
whatchamacallit?
would she ask them? Why else would she invite them to her pool party?
I don't know. I don't care at this
Maybe
point.
she is one of their friends. Actually, I'm kind of shocked they didn't acknowledge that. Like, why do they need to fight over a girl liking them when they've got Girl Jordan in the group?
Because they'll have to fight over her too.
Okay, yeah, like, this is just all, like, okay, like, all this, it's pretty much getting aside, like, some of my biggest issues with this episode. First things first is the story. It goes for the whole predictable group of guy friends, all are in love with the same girl, then they all fight for her affection, and then they all start fighting with each other, and then they realize that we can't let any girl break us apart, You know, like we have such a great bro-ship or bro-friendship or some made-up word.
Bromance.
Bromance. They have such a great bromance. It's so strong. We can't break it up over some girl. And then they pretty much just like, I mean, the only difference this time is that the ending. Again, I like the idea of the ending with like Stella becoming like a part of their group of friends. I just think that again, I just think the story lets this episode down. Because it's not really all that interesting, and even worse, the comedy in this episode is atrocious.
There wasn't a single thing I found funny in this episode.
Most of the stuff here I thought was cringy, if I'm being honest. Like,
That was one thing.
Well, here's my defense of that. Maybe it was supposed to be cringy to symbolize the cringe-worthy efforts that everyone was trying to make in order to impress Stella.
and I think, yeah, because like there are moments I didn't find funny. Some of them I just kind of found really creepy, like that part where Rusty says that he really likes the smell of her hair. Look, just because like you have everyone else react to it like it's weird, that doesn't make it funny, and it still makes it really creepy in my opinion.
Then maybe that was the point. Maybe it was meant to be creepy. Maybe that was supposed to be just a metaphor to how it was supposed to be, like how to show how unfit he was to have a romantic relationship with her.
Right, and I can already tell people are going to make this defense by saying, oh, they're 11 years old, and like it's supposed to be relatable to us. Yeah, but that's like a part of my life I don't want to remember. I really don't want to remember the things I did when I was 11 when it came to talking to girls. I don't think anybody does. So like for me, I mean, if you find this funny, then good for you. Like, I'm glad you can enjoy this, but I don't know, I didn't find it funny at all.
So I was thinking about this more and more. It just really depends. If this episode, if Stella's role is more expanded on in this season, then this episode has a point. But if she's just forgotten about, say, like Rocky or Maggie or any other background character, it just seems very pointless.
Right. Now, speaking of Stella, I thought she was by far and away the best part of this episode.
Yes,
Agreed.
definitely. Oh boy, Stella.
Oh, I heard someone say meh.
What?
It was me.
Oh, you don't like Stella?
I know she's gonna become a background character. Don't deny it. It's the inevitable. That's what
I mean,
happens to
yeah,
her.
I agree with that. I agree with that too. But I still liked her as a
It
character,
doesn't
even
matter.
if we'll probably
I
never
don't
see
care.
her.
I love Stella in this episode. I mean,
Before we go on, like, can I just mention something about her design? What happened between white hair and this episode? What kind of
Mark, animation, it takes a lot of time, and sometimes they redesign characters.
I know, but still,
Yeah,
I'm half joking on this, but did she get some sort of super milk in her system that made her spout up a few inches, or
I don't
maybe
know. Maybe that's why. I don't know. Maybe it's the same reason why Girl Jordan looked like a first grader.
Right.
I remember that.
I don't care because Stella's design is great. I love the way she's designed.
Yeah, same here.
I like how she designs too. I like her design as well. I like that for some of I like that her clothes, they don't look like they would match a certain color palette. Like, it kind of looks like it's a little all over the place. Because like when you look at like her design, it's like, first off, she's wearing like green shoes, even though the rest of her outfit has like white, red, and black. So it's like an odd color out with the rest of it, and I think that was part of the point, and that's what I like.
And plus she's a little taller too, so...
Yeah.
And I also love her voice as well. The voice that they got to play Stella was just perfect. I loved it.
Yeah, I mean, I would like to see Stella more in episodes.
I hope we see her more. I mean, they wouldn't introduce a character like this, hype it up, and then just remove her.
Oh, you want to play that card? What about Rocky? Remember
Okay,
him?
you already
Yeah, but Rocky wasn't hyped up though. That's the thing.
And even then, Rocky wasn't really all that interesting of a character. It's like he's just Rusty's little brother, and that's it.
Well, what about Clyde's dads? They haven't made much impact.
yeah.
In this.
Well, they've appeared in more than one episode, so
Exactly.
I miss Clyde's dad.
Season 2, though.
Now that you bring up the fact that Rusty had no personality, I mean Rocky rather, had no personality, although, no, never mind. This is the one thing I also really like about Stella, to have personality. Like, she's like, even near the end of the episode, like, even when they try to apologize, she ain't taking none of that. Like, she's the one who can hold a grudge and hold down when she knows somebody's wrong. Like, and even then, like, but there is some, when she was asking all 5 of those boys out, like, all like different intervals, it kind of made it feel a little strange that she wouldn't notice that it'd be a little bit, that would seem scummy to just ask a boy out in front of the person you just asked it before. Like, don't you think that would be a little bit strange and like in front of the other person's eyes? Do you think it wouldn't cause a bit of conflict?
I think it would have worked better if she kept asking all of them at the same time.
Oh, yes, agreed. Like as a group thing, and then maybe all the boys in the middle of those dates try to sabotage themselves, trying to impress Stella, while not making Stella out to be some sort of manipulator or anything like that.
Well, speaking of which, now that we've been talking about white hair in this episode, doesn't seem pretty contradictory. Doesn't seem like a complete contradiction that for white hair, the message of the episode is supposed to be about how you should be yourself and not try and be someone that you're not. Yet for this episode, Lincoln and his friends are trying to act all cool and macho around like Stella and be not themselves.
Yeah, and in Lincoln's case,
Well,
it's
how
like
do
he
you
has
think
to
that
learn the
worked out?
same lesson over and over again. It's like, dude, you learned the lesson before, why do you need to do it again?
He's a kid, he forgets things. I don't know.
Perhaps.
The people think with their dicks. Let's leave it at that.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, I'm not going to talk much about Lincoln's friends, because at this point now, whenever I talk about it, people get angry at me about it, so I'm not going to. Go ahead.
They're kind of annoying at this. They're kind of getting a little too annoying at this point, especially. I'm probably gonna get a lot of hate, but I think Rusty's one of the most annoyingest characters on Loud House.
I wouldn't say he's the most annoying, but I don't know.
His voice annoys me. I'm sorry. I'm just gonna be honest.
Go ahead.
But Rusty just annoys me so much.
I feel like he, along with the rest of Lincoln's friends, they feel like characters try way too hard to be.
They try way too hard to be funny, and they just seem like one-dimensional stereotypes. Like they just have one thing that sticks with them, and that's about it.
I mean, I will say that they at least try and make them different from each other. I mean, because like the whole one joke thing about is like he says he's a ladies' man when really he can't talk to girls at all. And then for Liam, he lives on a farm, which they make it very obvious because he has a southern accent, and that's his whole one joke. And then for Zach, he pretty much is, I guess, the nerdy one, which doesn't quite make that much sense because Lincoln and Clyde are also nerdy. So, and then you have Clyde, who's pretty much the Mary Sue of the group, and that I can at least differentiate them from each other. So, I mean, I guess that's an improvement.
But they're just not interesting as characters, and I don't hate them because like they're horrible people or something like that. They're just not that interesting as characters. And I feel like focusing on them for this episode was the wrong idea. I mean, you can still have them in the episode, but I know this may seem like, oh, you're just doing this for this reason. No, I think the episode would have been a lot better if it was just focused on Lincoln. I know when I say that, it'll be like, oh, you just want to get rid of Lincoln's friends. You can still keep them in there, but keep them
for minor roles.
Yeah, like for minor roles, like maybe Drew came up with this. Drew came up with this. Why don't you explain it?
Okay, well, there's a rewrite that I'm working on. By the time this podcast will be released, I'll probably have it finished, but my rewrite for this episode is pretty much where it's going to start off almost exactly like how the episode starts, where like Lincoln and his friends, they're trading lunch items and whatnot. Stella's hanging out with them. It's already established that Stella is a part of their group of friends, because like I'm assuming that after white hair, Lincoln and the new girl were talking, and then like Lincoln introduced her to his group of friends and all that kind of stuff. So like then they're hanging out, and then Stella asks Lincoln if he wants to hang out after school, and then like Lincoln is a little bit nervous, and he's like, "Oh, I'll do it," and then she's like, "Great, I'll see you later." And then the rest of his friends are like, "Oh, dude, you're going on a date with Stella." And then he's like, "Wait, are you sure?" And then like one of them's like, "Totally. Like if a girl is asking to hang out with you, just you and her after school, that means it's a date." Lincoln gets nervous. His friends give him advice, and then like they hang out after school. It's awkward. It's weird because Lincoln's using the advice he got from his friends. Doesn't end too well. The next day, Lincoln calls up Stella and it's like, "Hey, sorry about last night. Do you want to hang out again so we can forget about what happened?" She's like, "Sure, we'll hang out at this place." And then Lincoln pretty much decides to get some advice on like dating from his older sisters, each of them. And then he goes on like hanging, and then he hangs out with Stella again, that night, things still are awkward and weird, and Stella's like, okay, what's up, Lincoln? Like, why are you acting like this? You're not acting like who you are. And then Lincoln admits that he's nervous, and he just wanted to try and impress Stella because he didn't want to mess up going on a date with her. Stella laughs, and she's like, oh, Lincoln, I didn't want to go on a date with you. I just want to hang out with you as a friend. Just because you're a boy and I'm a girl, that doesn't mean that we go on dates. We hang out as friends. And then Lincoln is like, oh, thank goodness. I mean, I'm actually not ready to go out on I'm not really ready to go out and date with anybody. I still want to hang out with you, though. And then Stella's like, well, that's great. Let's just hang out and be friends. And then it ends with them hanging out and growing better as friends. Like, that's what I'm going to be doing for my rewrite. I don't really know if anybody would agree if that would be a better episode than the one we got, but that's just what I'm working on.
It wouldn't be perfect, but damn it, it'd be better than the actual episode that we got. And that's a shame, too, because I think there could have been a lot of potential with Stella's character.
Right. I mean, I don't hate this episode, but I don't know. I feel like it's up there with Fandom Pains. It's one of the most disappointing episodes of the season.
Yeah, and when an episode becomes this way, and I know it could have been better, that frustrates me even more. I don't hate it as much as any of the other bad episodes, but it's pretty bad and pretty forgettable and stupid, and the story itself has been done to death a lot. And Lincoln's friends just aren't interesting as characters, so yeah, 4 out of 10, Garbage House.
Anything else you guys want to add?
Well, I'm one of those guys who just doesn't really let hype or anything like that just get in the way of.
No, we don't. No, we're not one of those people who get hyped.
I know you're not, but I know a lot of people who are.
Yeah, I know.
Anywho, to judge an episode based on its own merits, and from this episode, I thought it was pretty solid. Just got the same level as Crimes of Fashion, actually. Yeah, I can agree that some things could have been done a hell of a lot better, but I just wasn't really all that, because I wasn't all that bothered by a lot of the cringe-worthy moments it supposedly had, because, again, I think it was made intentionally that way to showcase just how misfit of a match all of the guys are with being a romantic interest for Stella. So, with all that said, I'm giving it a 7.
I'm thinking of the Island of the Misfit Toy song from Rudolph now. Once you said that.
I don't mind if you like this episode. It's good to see people have higher tolerance than I do. It's just, I could never get into it.
Well, to each his own.
Yeah. But hey, Stella was great.
Anything else you guys want to add to that episode?
No.
I just have to say, like, it was just mediocre in my book. Like, it starts off decently fine. Stella's a good character, but then at the second half, everything just crashes and burns. That fight scene was not necessary besides that one thing where Lincoln
heard someone about the band
Jordan, which is just further which is further just proving evidence that I possibly shipped those two, and I don't. And by the way, where'd the crush thing come from? Miss Siri? Oh my god, I'm not living that down ever! But anyway, yeah, I'm done.
Okay, so that was our week, and honestly, we had a bunch of really good episodes.
Yeah, this week, it's been a long time, but holy crap, this week was actually pretty good. 4 good episodes, in my opinion.
Wonderful, excellent day.
All right, okay, so best of the bomb for me obviously goes to Gown and Out. I mean, A Tattler's Tale is still Lola's best episode, but this is definitely second for me. I thought this episode was great. Honorable mention, I'm going to give it to Scales of Justice. I think Lana is still continuing to have... I mean, this is definitely a great follow-up after what happened with Ruthless People, which we won't talk about. Worst of the bomb for me, it's going to be Still in My Heart. It's not terrible, but I'm just sick of Lincoln's friends. I really am, and I just think the story itself was really stupid and tedious. So, and dishonorable mention for me is going to go to Absent Minded, less because it's bad and more just because it's boring. So, all right, Bossy.
Best, yeah, got it out pretty easy. Is the episode I'm most hyped for, and I got what I wanted. Honorable mention, Crimes of Fashion, just pretty good, and it was a huge improvement over Through the Consequences, even though I still think that was a pretty solid episode as well. Worst, yeah, Beast on My Heart, easily. Would have been perfectly fine if it didn't crash and burn. And this honorable mention to Breaking Dad, because that one's just really not all that memorable.
All right, Yoshi?
Well, you know me, I usually like to rank it best to worst, so my favorite episode of the week, without a doubt, was Down and Out. I just loved the episode. It actually bumped up Lola's character for me. She was like at, what, number 4? I think she's at number 2 now. So she's slowly starting to become my favorite sister. And maybe she will if they stopped making Luna such a punk.
Okay, let's just move on from that.
I like her more.
But I won't talk much about that anyway. So, yeah, my second favorite episode of the week would be Scales of Justice. Aside from that Lenny thing, which really annoyed me, the rest of the episode was really good. I enjoyed it. It really redeemed Lola's... it redeemed Lana's character. Oh, when they're twins, you get them mixed up.
Lana's.
So third best of the week, that would be Breaking Bad. I enjoyed it. It's a better version of Dumped. In fact, my 10-word review is SpongeBob dumped a clone, and it's actually better. Yes.
Wordplay.
Yep.
Alright.
So my third worst of the week, even though it's not a bad episode, it's third worst. Crimes of Fashion. Yeah, it's good, but I could have used more Lenny. Second worst of the week would go to Absent Minded. The only episode this week that actually legitimately made me fall asleep. Although it's not as bad as other Clink and McCloud episodes, at least they focus more on Clyde this time, so that's a plus. And worst of the week, yeah, be Stella in my heart. I love Stella as a character. I hope to see more of her. If we don't, maybe I'll do some fanfics about her, but other than that, the story was dumb. I really don't need to see Lincoln's friends anymore. They're just really annoying this time around.
Okay, Muppet.
My favorite this week was obviously Down and Out, even though Lori's weird 180 and Lincoln's flamboyancy. And my second favorite was Breaking Dad. Oh, and I forgot to mention this. I'm just glad Breaking Dad wasn't a clone of Rita Her Rights. Just pointing that out, though.
Alright.
My least favorite's obviously Stella. Sorry, everyone. And my second favorite is my second least favorite is Absent-Minded.
Alright.
I don't care for Clyde. I'm sorry about that.
Okay, Mark.
Okay. Favorite episode of The Bomb? Breaking Dad. The best of Lily, best of Lynn Sr., best of Mr. Grouse, best of everyone involved. Just a joy to sit through all around. My honorable mention, Scales of Justice. Finally gave Lana a true purpose in life. Something I was just so relieved to see. So now people can actually focus on that aspect of her, instead of the fact that she's just the gross tomboy all the time. And yep, I look forward to definitely that. Worst of The Bomb. Oh, damn it. Down and Out. Sorry. Yep. So I'm just sorry. I could not get on board with Lola's conflict. It just felt completely out of character for somebody like her, especially with the way it was presented. I know it could. The fact is, I thought it could have been fantastic, and given the opportunity, I could have made it fantastic. Maybe, I don't know. Well, but yeah, what I got just felt strange. Gesundheit.
Thank you.
Anyway, just with all that being said, this is just the Loud House canon equivalent of inadequate, and that's a bad thing in my eyes. Dishonorable mention, it'd have to go with Crimes of Fashion. That one, I didn't think it was bad. I did think it was good. It just wasn't stellar enough to warrant a rewatch.
Wow. Okay, so that's pretty interesting. So yeah, that's our latest episode of Talking Loud, and yeah, we managed to cover
for now. It'll be our last episode for now until the next one.
Yeah. So
tune in next time.
Yeah. So okay, Muppet, you're interrupting me.
I just want to say something.
Go ahead.
I heard on TV. Tune in next time when we upload a podcast. Same loud channel, same loud time.
But that's what you wanted to say?
Yeah, I was watching the 1960s Batman. I always wanted to say that. I watch weird crap on TV.
We've all watched weird crap on TV at some point in our lives.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I salute you being able to quote it, though.
All right, so
this.
Alright, so thank you so much for joining us, Mark. It was a pleasure having you on.
It was my pleasure to be here, guys. Thank you.
Yeah, so tune in next time for our next podcast where hopefully we'll be talking about Misconnection. Yes, we were kind of planning on talking about it, but since it hasn't been released yet here in the United States and not everyone has seen it yet, we don't want to completely spoil it, so we're going to wait until it officially airs, so we'll most likely talk about it in the next podcast.
I got to see it first because it actually aired in Australia.
Yes,
Good
it
for
did.
you, Yoshi.
Yep.
Yeah,
Way to
lucky
make
me.
all of us jealous.
Hey, you
There
guys
was a
still
link
got to watch it anyway.
Yeah, I did.
Alright, so until next time, I'm CynicTheCritic.
Anglophile Gamer.
Yoshi Player, go check out my Let's Play channel.
I'm
Somebody
MuppetSpot.
wall, buddy.
I'm a packing. I need to pack.
I'm EpsilonMk46, fanfiction.net. Check me out.
And until next...
I need to
Go ahead.
promote something. Also, read Little Bunny Lincoln. I'm the co-writer of that story now.
Alright, and until next time, keep playing Yoshis.
Hey, that's my quote. Don't say that. No, the end quote is keep on playing.
Keep on playing.
I was ready to upload some.
Yoshi wrote the outro, but until next time, keep on playing.
Yep. See you
Alright,
later.
bye.
Bye-bye.
Go check out my Let's Play channel.